How many times have you thought in the last few months, if I don't get involved now, I'm really going to regret it? We're watching an incredible acceleration in authoritarian tactics inside the United States. Trump's regime has shot people in the street, is kidnapping 5-year-old children and putting them in detention camps, and has basically terrorized a huge number of US cities now by invading them and kidnapping our neighbors. And if you feel like something has cracked open in you as a result of that, like watching 2 US citizens be shot in the street has broken you, like watching 5-year-old Liam Ramos be kidnapped from his family and sent to a detention camp in Texas where the food is moldy and there's no medical care, you're not alone. A lot of people, frankly, are feeling a level of activation that they've never felt before. And it's not just anger. It's actually, in some circumstances, a sober realization. This can get worse. People can die. People are dying. And I need to do something right now that really matters. Now, here's what I know. After 15 years as a leadership consultant in some of the largest nonprofits and on behalf of some of the biggest political campaigns in America, not to mention 40 years as an activist and an organizer. In moments like this, the difference between people who create effective change and those who burn out, freeze, or flail is structure. Not intensity, not passion, not outrage even, but structure. So take a breath with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to have a simple roadmap on how to get involved in effective social justice work right now, starting from where you are, with the skills you already have, and in a way that you can actually sustain. And I'm also going to say something right now that might relieve you immediately. Not everybody has to be on the front lines in order to make a real difference right now. There is a place for you in this work. Even if you're disabled, even if you're time constrained, even if you're raising a family, and even if you're a direct target of this regime's hatred and violence, you matter, and your contribution can still save lives. And if you want support turning this urgency into action without spiraling, without guessing, and with direct support, subscribe to our 3-day activation challenge. It's a short email sequence that guides you step by step on how you can get involved where you live right now. Subscribe through the link below and come right back, because the roadmap I'm about to give you will click even deeper once you're inside that 3-day activation challenge. Okay. Here's the roadmap that I want you to follow, especially if you're new, and especially if this is the first time that you've really felt in your bones, I have to get involved. And I want you to treat this like a leadership decision, not just an emotional moment. Because the goal when we're seeking to create social justice is not just to, say, continuously post to social media and eventually crash out from all the horror. The goal is to become someone who can protect people, support community, and expand your impact over time in this era. Take a breath. And let's go. Step 1, pick your why, the issue that you cannot look away from. The first step is to pick your why. And when I say this, I don't mean your why in the context of a pithy inspirational quote that you might find on the wall of a corporate office. What I mean is the issue that is calling to you so much that you can't look away. What issue is the most personal to you? What are you paying attention to, even when maybe you're trying not to? Because here's the thing, right now, a lot of people are trying to pay attention to everything all at once. And it's understandable. We're under an enormous fire hose of terrible news, traumatic video, horrifying events on a daily basis. But when you try to carry everything and act on everything, you end up doing nothing effectively. So what I want you to do first is simply pick a focus point. For some of you, it's simply going to be how to respond to ICE in your own community. For some of you, it may be housing insecurity or food insecurity. Maybe it's building community engagement about a local issue that really matters to you. Maybe it's voter engagement, or it may be how some of these things stack together in your own city. But I want to pause here on something really important. Your why does not have to be the most globally or nationally compelling issue right now. It has to be the one that you'll still show up for on a Tuesday afternoon when nobody's watching. Why? Because that's what makes it sustainable. So here's a really simple question to ask yourself if you're struggling to figure out your why. What is the issue that breaks my heart and also makes me want to take action? Not just that makes you feel rage or grief or outrage about it, but something that makes you actually want to move. And if you happen to be sitting there thinking, but I'm totally new to this, I don't have any idea how to pick, I want you to pick anyway. You're allowed to pick a why for now, maybe just for the next 3 to 6 months. This is not something that you are going to be wedded to for life. It's simply a decision about the next best direction. By the way, if you're listening and you can feel that urgency and you're thinking, I actually want something that's going to help to keep me accountable for this over the next week, I want to remind you that our 3-day activation challenge is available at the link below. Because over those 3 days, we help you go from horrified and frozen to here's my why, here's my lane, and here's what I'm doing next. And it's something you can do even if you're busy and even if you're brand new to activism. Sign up at the link below. Step 2, identify your skills, because your resume is not separate from social justice. Step 2 is identifying your transferable skills. And I need you to hear this, especially if you're a successful professional. Your career doesn't just build your bank account. It actually builds your toolkit. And social justice movements, they need toolkits. Movements need people who can execute on action, people who can communicate, who can build systems, who can manage budgets, people who can lead teams and train others, and most importantly, keep their promises. So let's make this really practical. If you have done any of the following, you have transferable skills that can be used in furtherance of social justice. If you've hired people, you can build onboarding for a nonprofit or a social justice organization. If you've worked in finance, you can stabilize or establish a program budget. If you've done marketing, you can help an organization get turnout for a critical event. If you've negotiated contracts, you can support partnerships between organizations and people. If you've been in tech, you can help with really critical things behind the scenes like data management, operational security, and systems. And if you're a caretaker, let me just tell you that you understand logistics, crisis management, and human needs better than most. So let's pause here for a second because I want to remind you of something that I said at the top of this video. There are lots of people that think activism only matters if you're on the front line of direct action, if you're at the front of the line recording ICE while they're kidnapping people, or you're the person speaking on the dais at an enormous protest. Yes, being on the front lines matters, and some of us are really cut out for that work. But those front lines aren't the only place that impact happens. Sometimes the most life-saving work is the work that keeps people fed, housed, trained, and connected. So your job in this step is to write down the following: 3 skills you're really good at, 3 skills you're willing to do for free in service to your community, and 1 skill that you want to build as you get more involved. That's it. And if your brain goes, I don't have anything special to offer, I want to challenge that. We all live in a society that has taught us that our value is equivalent to our personal and professional achievement. Late stage capitalism loves that stuff. But in this moment right now, your value is in your usefulness to your own community. And you already have way more to offer than you might think. Step 3, reach out locally and expect it to take a few tries. So step 3 is where this really becomes real life. This is the step where you reach out to local organizations doing work on the issues that matter to you. And I want to normalize something up front. It may take a few tries for you to actually get hooked in. Not because they don't want help or because they don't want your help specifically, but because a lot of organizations are completely overwhelmed right now. People are scared and needs are exploding and staff are stretched razor thin. So if you send an email and you don't hear back, that's not a sign to quit. It's actually a sign to maybe take a different tactic to get hooked into the organization where you'd like to do the work. The most effective way that we've found to actually get folks connected is to attend a live event and go in person if it's safe for you, or you can always attend a Zoom meeting. But at the end, I want you to do something very specific, and it's to ask 2 simple questions. What do you as an organization need right now? And who can I talk to plug in? Let's pause on why the specificity of that question is so important. Because a question like, how can I help, is kind, but it's also vague. Overwhelmed organizations don't have the capacity right now to translate vague into action. So you need to be the person who makes it easy. You can say, I can give 1 evening a week. Where should I start? Or you could say, for instance, I'm really strong in operations and systems. Do you need help with volunteer onboarding? Or if you're working with a political campaign, I can do 2 phone bank shifts a month. When's the next one? Specific is respectful, and specific will get you placed. And if you're new and you're nervous, good, that's normal. Just show up anyway. Let it be awkward. Let it be imperfect. Your job here is not to be impressive. Your job is to simply enter the ecosystem of community support on the issue that matters to you the most. Step 4, evaluate your time availability and choose a commitment that you can actually keep. Step 4 is evaluating your bandwidth. And I want to say this with a lot of care. You do not have to destroy your life to prove that you care in this moment. Some of you are raising families, working full-time jobs, caring for aging parents, maybe managing chronic illness, or protecting your own safety. And some of you are direct targets of this regime, which means your risk calculation will be different. So we all need to take responsibility for where we're at when we decide what commitments we're going to make. And we're going to make commitments that are real. I want you to write down your actual availability in plain language. Maybe it's one weekend a month, or one night a week, or one text banking or phone banking session every 2 weeks. Maybe it's just 30 minutes on a Sunday to coordinate a grocery run for your neighbor who is afraid to leave their house. Write down whatever is true about the time that you can actually commit. And I want to pause here, because one key feature of effective activism is this. Movements don't just need your passion or your outrage. They actually really need your reliability. And reliability is built by making promises that you can keep. So pick a commitment that feels almost annoyingly doable, because you'll always have the opportunity to expand the work you're doing once you get involved at the start. Like, yes, I can do that even if I'm tired. That's the one. That's how consistency is born. And consistency creates trust. Step 5. Keep your commitments and then expand your impact strategically. Step 5 is where you become the person organizations remember. You keep your commitments, you show up when you said you would, you do the shift that you signed up for, and you follow through. And I know that might sound small, but it's really a game changer, because nonprofits and public service organizations often struggle with something heartbreaking. People make promises from emotion, and then they vanish, and it leaves the work heavier for everyone else. So when you become the person who keeps your word, you don't just help, you stabilize. And then, and this is the part that really matters for your own personal ripple effect, you look for opportunities to grow your impact. Because as you serve, you learn. And as you learn, you see gaps. And as you see gaps, ideas emerge. And some of you, especially those of you with deep professional experience, will eventually realize, I don't just want to volunteer. I want to build something. An initiative, a program, an advocacy campaign, a community organization, or maybe even a nonprofit. Something that finally and directly addresses harms that are coming to your own community and creates tangible, immediate benefits now, while also leaving a lasting legacy. And I'll let you in on a little hint. That's the work that we do inside the Ripple Effect Institute, where we support people who are deeply committed to generational societal change and are working on initiatives to do exactly that. So let's pause here again for a minute. If you feel that pull toward building something new that is going to make a real difference in your own community and for people that you care about, I want to tell you that that's not ego. It's actually leadership. And in this era, leadership on social justice is a form of protection, and protection saves lives. So yes, start with a commitment that you can actually keep. But then I want you to keep asking, how can I expand my impact without losing sustainability? How can I bring more people in to work on these issues that I care about? How can I use my resources strategically? How can I protect and save as many lives as possible right here and right now? There is a place for you in this work. And movements are stronger when people choose roles that are sustainable and then seek to grow their impact in whatever way they can. So if you feel an urgency right now, maybe an urgency that you've never felt before in your life, you're not crazy. You're awake in an era of profound danger and harm. Your impulse to take action is the right one. What's happening on our streets and in our nation is not theoretical, it's real. And it requires real action from all of us in whatever way that we can take action to push back and build a better future. So here's what I want you to do next. Don't just carry your hurt and your outrage in your chest. Convert it into action. Pick your why, name your skills, connect locally and expect it to take a few times, Choose a commitment that you can keep and keep it, and then seek to grow your impact strategically. And if you want help doing that with structure, sign up for our 3-day activation challenge at the link below. Those emails will walk you through your first steps, so you're not guessing, you're not isolating, and you're not burning out. Because in this era, the question isn't whether or not we care. The question is whether or not we are going to organize our care in a way that consistently saves and protects lives. All you have to do is take the next step toward becoming an effective activist in this era, and you will be a part of the solution. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.